Hey guys, how's it going? Chris Chen here with Theme Park Arts. Today we got a new special guest for you, Jarrod Pope. He is also another fellow concept artist in the theme entertainment industry. On this podcast, we're going to talk about anything theme park related, all different kinds of art forms, but we have an actual artist with us today. Welcome, Jarrod Pope.
Hi.
So Jarrod used to be my coworker at BRPH when I was working there. And first of all, shout out to the BRPH team. They recently won an award at IAPA. It was announced, right? The Thea Award, and it was for the Hagrid's coaster.
Yep.
And a lot of our coworkers did work on that, and I saw firsthand how hard they worked on that project. So definitely congratulations to the BRPH engineering, entertainment, and architecture team. So that's really cool. That's super cool. That coaster was awesome. You've been on it?
I haven't been on it.
You haven't been on it? It's super dope.
I heard about the bees incident that happened there a couple months ago. You didn't hear about that?
No, you mean like flying bees?
No, like live bees. Like they built a nest on that property since they have live trees there.
Oh,
so
okay.
They had to close down the ride
to
take care of that.
Oh, shoot. Oh, man, that would be crazy if it was like animatronic bees or something.
No.
Okay, gotcha. All right, anyways. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw questions from this basket here, and we're going to answer some questions. Would you like to go first, Jarrod?
Sure. Okay. How important are illusions and fantasy in human development?
You go first.
Okay.
So you answer the question first, okay. And after you answer, then I'll answer.
Speaking of bees.
Yes. Bees are really important for the environment,
yes,
you know? They're
Okay. So something I've kind of thumbed around a lot was how important fantasy is to human development. I always refer back to this one scene from one of Terry Pratchett's books, and it's a discussion with death, and he talks about how important fantasy is for human development because it makes us more human. The crew of that discussion was we can wax poetic about the scientific terms of what something is. Like for one person, you could see a teddy bear and see, oh, it's just a bunch of faux fur stuffed with carbon fiber, cotton, and sort of buttons. But to a child, this is a cherished friend. This is a memory that they hold. This is something that's special to you. It's not just an object. It's a part of you. So that's sort of the takeaway I take from fantasy and the work that we do. Our job is to build fantasies for people so that they become part of someone's being, their essence, to kind of help them get through this existence.
Interesting. Wait, hold on. Let me see the question. It was illusions and fantasy in human development. When you say human development, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like children?
No, just
in general.
In general, yeah.
And when you say illusion and fantasy, what do you mean by illusions?
Illusions, things that aren't real.
Oh, okay. Do you think this has to do with like creativity and imagination?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Do you feel like maybe kids nowadays have less creativity and imagination? Or more?
I don't know, because I haven't interacted with many children lately.
Okay. Because I know before, right? Like, we didn't have, like, cell phones and TVs and stuff like that, so it would be like, here's a cardboard box. Oh, no, this cardboard box is a spaceship. It's a castle.
Yeah.
And we had to use our
imagination. The floor is lava, yeah.
Yeah, the floor is lava, and we had to use our imagination. But nowadays, it's like, I don't know, like, we want to see, oh, that doesn't look realistic enough in the video game. It needs to be photorealistic.
Yeah.
You know, the technology is so good.
Yeah. Now you bring up a good point too. Is that since I have not interacted with children as of lately, I don't have perspective on whether or not they know what is real and what is not, or if they've been so inundated with media that they can't distinguish, fantasy from reality. Um, another example is that I saw Frozen 2 over the weekend.
Oh, no spoilers! I haven't seen it yet. A lot of people
Okay.
haven't seen it.
No spoilers, but the takeaway I had from that, it was a beautiful visual effects movie.
Okay.
There wasn't much substance there, but it was just a beautiful visual
spectacle.
Effects movie. Yes. So you have these beautiful water simulations and atmospherics, and the scenery was just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, but it was just so realistic and so it looks like photogrammetry, like someone just scanned that data and just kind of used a little bit of artistry to kind of help blend it in with the world. But it becomes this uncanny valley kind of scenario where you have that, and then it's juxtaposed to these very stylized characters, and it just becomes something very jarring. But that's just kind of deviating away from what I was mentioning earlier. Do you got any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think what I want to say is I do think it's important for the person to do maybe 30% of the work, if we spell it out for them 100%, it's there needs to be a give and take where the audience kind of thinks about it and works for it as well. There's different ratios, but I've seen I was a theater minor in college, and that was really interesting to me because doing coming from a video game concept art background, everything was rendered realistically and with photoreal and stuff like that. But in theater, there was a lot of stand-in props and stuff. This piece of backboard is a castle, and then you just use your imagination to fill it in. And some really avant-garde theater sets, it's just black boxes and white boxes, you can't even tell what they are.
It's theater of the mind.
Yeah, you have to, and you infer that information when the characters, they speak about it. And it's oh, okay, it sounds like that box is supposed to represent a car. But you can't, by just looking at it, you don't know. So, I don't know.
Oh, you raised a good point. There's, so in comics, there's what's called the gutter. So in between panels in comics, you have that white space of the page. And when you juxtapose one frame next to another, it completes a picture, but sometimes those two aren't the same action transpiring. And so what happens between point A and point B, sometimes you have to use your imagination to fill in that gap.
Yeah. I think we are losing the gap because technology is so powerful now. We kind of want to show off everything that the computer and the special effects team can do. But sometimes it does lend to the story.
It does, yeah.
But other times it's just kind of showing off for the sake of showing off. I'm not no criticism to Frozen 2. I haven't seen it yet or whatever. But just a general thing.
Gorgeous VFX in that film.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, next question. All right. All right. What's your view on personal work? Okay. Yeah, I have some thoughts about this personal work because coming from, I have a lot of friends in game and film, right? And they do a lot of personal work in their spare time, 30-minute lunch sketches and stuff like that, or they work on it a couple hours after work. And something that, and it's definitely really important, a lot of the teachers and instructors in that industry say how important it is. But for some reason, there's very little deemed entertainment professionals doing personal work. I'm not really sure why. I know everyone's really busy, but I'm sure the people working in film and game are just as busy as the themed entertainment people. But there's not really that culture there.
Yeah, I
don't
see
know
that.
why.
I see that. That is a curious perspective on that, because I think the sort of the discipline that you and I come from, I don't see a whole lot of that in
Architecture, theater.
yeah,
It's just their job is their job,
yeah.
and they don't bring it home.
It's
Occasionally, I see some people do some, like there's this guy John Plesk, and he did this My Wedding Dream, Princess Diaries.
oh, okay.
Princess Diaries ride, and that was something he kind of did on his last time. I think he works at Universal Creative. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Um,
I should double check that.
Disney or Universal, one of those two big companies.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick screenshot of what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's not just video games and film and themed entertainment. It's like for what we do, we are entertainment designers, and at its core, it's all theater.
Yeah.
But the medium that we see this content changes. So like, you know, we're sitting in a black box theater somewhere.
Yeah.
You're seeing things and having to fill in the gap with your mind. As opposed to like games or film where things are very literal and sculpted and rendered for entertainment purposes. But for personal work, what was the question again?
What's your view on personal work?
View on personal work.
So it's really ambiguous and stuff. You know, if you have any opinions about it.
Well, I like personal work. I'm a big fan of personal work.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that. I see it as a vehicle for that fulfillment that you might not be getting with the work that you're doing with your job. Like, you know, I'll say, for example, like when I was working at BRPH, like I enjoyed the work that I did, but it wasn't the work that I was happy with, and so I spent a lot of time pouring that happiness into things that, you know, made me happy. It's usually like outside of work, or I might slack off a little bit and actually, like, you know, draw something that's you know, meaningful to me.
Okay.
But it's hi.
It's a B?
Yeah. So like that personal work is like that breath of fresh air sometimes when you're in a situation that may work for you, may not work for you. Sometimes that personal work may just be just for fun. So it's a matter of it being that outlet that you need.
And I think not just an outlet, but it's important for human development, going back, and artistic development. So, you know, the Spider-Verse movie, right?
Yeah. That
won a lot of critical acclaim. One of the people who started, the person who started the artistic direction of the movie, Alberto Mialego, that kind of like comic-y look came from his personal work. That was his own personal style, with his oil paintings and his digital work. And from that, it gave way into like this industry-defining, this kind of paradigm shift of how 3D modeling and 3D animation could look. So I think that in a lot of engineering scenarios, R&D is something that the client pays for. But in a lot of artistic development, it's almost like money can't generate that passion. You know, it has to come from within, not from like, hey, here's $1 million, go make something that is groundbreaking artistically, you know, and then you get something that might be like super technically stunning, but maybe it lacks a little bit of soul and depth inside. It's artistry, you know.
No, that's a great point. Something I wanted to bring up earlier was just talking about like finding your artistic voice, and that's so important for someone's artistic development, because on one hand you could be really good at copying an image that you see and, you know, being able to recreate it with technical precision, but without that sort of without inserting yourself into it, it's just a copy. It's not art.
Yeah.
it's got to have that sense of style that when somebody like sees a drawing of a rock you do,
Yeah.
they're like, no, that's not just any rock, that's the Chris Chen rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people will be able to recognize your style without even just looking at an image. Like for example, like I took a CGMA class with Aaron Lamonic as my instructor, and like I wasn't familiar with his work at the time, but after seeing his portfolio and seeing his instructions and style, like I went on ArtStation and just looked at the I don't know if it was trending or just popular images that are on there, and I saw what looked like a theme park image, and I'm like, that looks really familiar, and I recognized that, and I'm like, no, that's one of Aaron's pieces, and sure enough, it was.
Yeah.
So it's just being able to pick up on that too. It's just as an artist, you're able to pick up other artists' styles just without even. Okay.
Okay.
How has your background influenced your career? Funny you mentioned that. So, before I started doing theme park work, my background was in history. And your neighbors.
It's all good.
So I originally studied history when I was an undergrad.
Yeah.
So I had worked for a museum afterwards, and it's interesting to see like how you can paint a picture based on data. And when I say data, I'm talking about like journal entries, newspaper clippings. I'm trying to think of anything else, but it's not just one source when you're creating a history about something. You're creating this wide tapestry based off of a lot of data that you're collecting from, like the price of food or art pieces are great. Art pieces are another way to tell like what was going on at that time, like what was popular, what was. Okay, so when you're looking at data, you're looking at multiple sources, including art pieces, which are a great snapshot of what things were like in that point in time.
Yeah.
Because you're not only getting what resources are available, but you're also getting like the philosophy, the mindset.
Can you give us an example?
So if you look at like Romantic painting back in the 19th century, you see a lot of these very like moody pieces because you're seeing this transition into kind of darker literature.
Okay. They were influenced by the literature. The art was.
Yeah, literature is also influenced by changing dynamics outside of the world. There are so many wars going on at the time, and you have colonial occupation from various political powers at that time. So all of this weighs in on influence on the philosophical products of that time, and art. People have to look at art as a product. It's not just, oh, this is a fancy art piece. No, this is a product. Somebody created this either for themselves or for someone else. And there's reason and method behind that.
Can I interject real quick?
Of course.
The new Tesla Ford pickup truck thing, it looks like a Mad Max thing. Yes. I don't think it's a coincidence that it looks like a dystopian future kind of thing with like global warming going on. It looks like an armored vehicle that like gangs or like an authoritarian police would use. And I think it's like an influence of, it looks that way because of like the stamped steel, but it's such a rigid, heavy duty pickup truck.
Yeah.
And I think it reflects like right now in history, like there's a lot of like destruction in the world going on. And it's kind of like a, I don't know, embodiment or a product of today's global economic, political climate. And there's a truck that comes out like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like it calls upon the idea that life our lives don't exist in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is affected by something.
Yeah.
Um, we are a reaction to something else. Like what we do is a reaction to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just such a profound idea that very few people will kind of grasp and will take for granted. And just being cognizant and aware of that, I think, makes you a much more resilient person in the long game.
Mm-hmm.
So how's your background affected your work?
Oh, okay. Jeez. I don't think I use it or leverage it enough.
Okay.
I don't really go into it. So when I think background, I'm like, I have an art background,
Mhm.
studied industrial design. Um, yeah, and I think I'm not drawing on my experiences enough. Like, I think there's a lot of my experiences growing up. No, I'm not talking about like educational background. I'm just talking about my experience growing up in a school, right? I was growing up in Irvine, California. Everyone was trying to get like 4.0 GPAs, 4.5, 5.0 GPAs, doing like a bunch of extracurricular activities and stuff like that. And that Asian American experience growing up in California, I think I wish I could express a little bit of that experience in my art, you know. Um, there's stories to be told there that haven't been told yet. There are some filmmakers like Wong Fu Productions who kind of tell that story, because it's a unique perspective. It's not quite American. It's not quite Chinese or Asian back there. It's its own experience, and yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to lean into it.
Okay.
There's a lot of people, Asian Americans, who are creating restaurants nowadays that are like. So basically, what would happen is like their parents maybe own like a traditional Chinese or Hong Kong restaurant, and then what they're doing is they're continuing that cuisine, but they're modernizing in a way that they like. So like Phil Wong did like his own Bo Poma Taiwanese cafe, and he's combining stuff like scallion pancakes.
Yeah.
He's making that into nachos, and then he puts like scallion pancake nachos with this, and so it's like nachos is like something that we grew up eating as like kids in the 90s and stuff like that, in America. But then scallion pancake is like his background of, like Asian and Taiwanese cuisine, China, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So they're kind of like mixing it together into a unique experience that's really them.
Interesting. Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So how would you leverage that as an artist? Like,
I don't know. I think one thing I'm doing recently are these name paintings, and I'm doing that because I really like personal development, psychology. So I'm writing like these words and sorry, audio again. So I'm kind of combining my interests of like calligraphy with art and personal development and psychology and mixing them together, and a lot of it's based on stuff like law of attraction. When you think of a certain thought or you have a certain vibration, you'll attract more of those type of, scenarios or environments. And it's like, subconscious mind, like what do you focus on? What are you meditating? And those are the type of events that happen in your life.
that's cool. Okay.
I think, did I pick or you pick? Yeah, your turn to pick.
What motivates you to make great art?
You answer.
Yes. So, I look at art from an artist's perspective. I'm less about the material gain. I say that now, but like I've been enjoying this journey that I've been going through as a professional artist. Just being able to see the growth in myself and seeing the growth in my peers, and just doing it for the love of the craft. And it's just been such an intrinsically rewarding journey for me, pursuing art as a professional career as opposed to just a hobby. and then being able to just make great friends and connections with people in the industry, and it's something I would never have dreamed to pursue when I was a kid, and now that I'm in this situation, I'm like, I wish I had done this sooner.
Nice. Okay, so I think I'm like kind of the opposite for you. I've always done art for commercial gain or to look good. So back when I was in like second grade, right? So I'm doing like these like math tests,
Yeah.
right? And like I'm always getting like 91%, 92%, but the other Indian and Korean kids are getting like 99 and 100%. And I'm like, dang, like I can't beat them in math, so I'm gonna beat them in art. So like that's what I did. So then so I started getting really good at art, entering a lot of competitions, and like, yes, I'm getting first place, and stuff like that. Won a lot of competitions and awards. And then now I'm trying to say, okay, what kind of industry makes money? Oh, theme parks. Okay, I'll do some theme parks. But the thing is, I think that kind of stops me from making really great art. Like I feel like I make good art.
Yeah.
Like it's good. Yeah, it's not bad. It's good. But is it really great? I don't think I'm quite there yet. I think I need to do some digger deeping. But digger no deeper deep deeper digging.
Gotta
Dig deeper. Yeah. And to find out what I'm really fascinated by, like what really motivates me. And I think when I really like not care about like the money or the financial gain, and I really focus on what makes me come alive and what I'm fascinated and interested in, then I'll make great art, and the financial gain will be there too, But I think I've been kind of, taking like the shortcut, saying like, hey, what's making money right now? All right, I'll go do that. But I think that hurts me in the long run.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of like, I gave a presentation at the UCF downtown campus 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a bunch of game artists there, and I spat out some statistics that were at Lightbox Expo, but also from Shadi's talk that he gave at JEC back in 2015. So it's like you're all very talented and you're all like fantastic artists, but the reality is that if you want those like industry positions, there's only so many there, and only about like the top 10% of artists in the world are actually like employed for these kind of positions. So it's that's what the reality is. But in Shadi's talk, he talks about the laws of increasing awesomeness.
Yeah.
And he does the mountain diagram.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, you have the different masters who are at the art gods who are at the top of those mountains, but how you get to those mountains is up to you.
Yeah.
There's two paths you can take. You can take the shorter path, which is more of like, you're using a lot of technology tools and photo bashing and all of that, or you can put in the drawing mileage that that comes from doing the craft. And so like I see that where it's like it's just diverging paths where it's like, okay, you can use tools to achieve one outcome, or you can take the slower path, but in the end you're achieving the same goal.
Yeah, I see the sentiment there. Yeah, I feel you.
Cool.
My turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Questions. How much weight should you put on concept development? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So when I thought about this, like, again, I was presenting in front of a bunch of students, and they for their project that they're doing right now is that they're doing immersive experiences in VR.
Yeah.
And for a lot of them, they're just these very kind of like flat surfaces with very little like visual interest going on. Like, yeah, there might be some cool like giant tree that's like really nicely textured, or like there's some payoff in that VR experience, but like it's dull and flat, the experience itself. So the idea behind that is when you're planning something out, planning,
Yeah.
you're thinking about, okay, so what would happen if I just maybe change the elevation just a little bit, just to show like, oh, there's some like rocks over here. Oh, I'm climbing up, this structure. So it's just you're building more visual interest for something as opposed to just having you're just building a room.
Yeah.
You're not just building a room. You're building an experience. And so the point that I wanted to reinforce with that is that before you actually start putting stuff in the ground, actually think about what you're going to put in the ground first.
Oh, have the idea there.
Yes.
Before you start messing around with it.
It's measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, because a lot of concept art nowadays, there's no concept. It's just art that looks like a concept art piece. But yeah, I have something to say about this topic.
Yeah.
Kind of Gary V like. I think 20% of the weight should be on concept development, and 80% of the other budget and time should be on execution.
Okay.
Because there's the other thing of people spend so much time in concept development that they never finish the project. Or they run out of money to finish the movie, and sometimes you just got to finish it and then stand back and evaluate, hey, did it work or did it not work? Oh, no, this was a success, this was a failure, I don't know. But if you've never finished your project and it's just like, hey, one day I'll get to it, one day I'll get to finishing my novel, one day I'll get to finishing my comic or my game, right? Sometimes good is better than great, if great means it never gets done.
No, I like that.
You don't want to make shitty work either, but if no work comes out, good work is better than no work.
No, I agree with that. Cool.
Last question.
Right.
Yes.
Tips on networking and developing relationships. Number one, don't be a dick.
Okay.
When someone wants to work with you, you have to play nice with others. It's just like you're playing a game with somebody. Like you like somebody who plays by the rules. Well, to an extent, it's more about just having fun. That at its core is just when you're working on something, you want to be able to work on something with somebody who will make that experience fun. So culture is so important whenever you're going to a studio or working on a project with somebody. Most of the time, like you'll have these divas, for lack of a better term. These are people who have a very specific vision in mind, but when they don't want to let others in on this vision, or like examples of like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. That's the other end of that spectrum, where it's like you have somebody who's doing all the dictator, or it's a committee, dictator versus committee.
All right.
So you got to find that happy medium somewhere in the middle there when you're working on projects.
Okay.
But building relationships. It's just like it's not just like a personal relationship, for work relationships as well. The people that you get drinks with, you have fun with, these are people you could do work with later on down the road. Because if you're passionate about something, that you want to surround yourself with people who are passionate about that thing too. Like you look at Tim Burton's crew, for example. Like you'll always see like Johnny Depp's on the bill, or like Helena Bonham Carter, or Christopher Lee. Like all these actors that pop up on these same projects is because they enjoy working with Tim Burton, and vice versa. So it's when you have a project, they're gonna say, "Hey, I need you for this role or this position. Can you help?"
Yeah. This reminds me a lot of, I think it was Simon Sinek who was saying, like, it's not about, like, what you do, but why you do it.
Yes.
Like, when you're working for, like, a team, it's not just about the paycheck sometimes. It's like, well, what motivates this person? Do we have the same values? Do we have the same core values? And I remember during his TED talk, he was saying that, like, let's say, like, you're a parent, right? And you have a kid. And they're saying, like, this parent would rather leave the kid with, like, a 16-year-old, teenage girl and let them babysit the kid instead of, like, a PhD professional babysitter from Oxford University, professional nanny, because they feel like, well, this little girl, this teenager who lives in the same neighborhood, I know we have the same values and we think alike. This Oxford nanny with a PhD in child development and psychology, I don't know who she is. I don't know what she's like. So sometimes it's not about how good you are at something, but like, hey, do we have the same beliefs and the same values? And then we become like we're the same type of tribe.
Yeah, yeah, and that's important when you're looking for work, is you're looking for that tribe to do great work with.
Yeah. Cool.
And that's pretty tough, especially for an artist, because as I mentioned before, there's so many talented people out there, and sometimes there aren't enough jobs to go around to be able to participate in that. But you just got to be persistent.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So if you like this podcast, subscribe and join our tribe at Theme Park Arts. We talk a lot of. So Jarrod happens to be an artist, but I believe there's artistry in every part of the field. Whether it's engineering or lighting design. We're gonna have a lighting designer come on soon. Production design, scenic. Just lots of different art forms, and I guess at Theme Park Arts, I just want to kind of, it's about like the craftsmanship, love of your work and your profession.
Yeah, it's not just visuals. It takes a tribe, a village to make something happen, to realize something. You look through those movie credits, and you see all the artists, directors, lighting team, IT team. The more grand in scale, the more these projects get, the more help you need.
Yeah.
So you're going to need more disciplines to help make that happen.
Yeah. Okay, so last, do you want to plug your own Instagram? Where should they follow you if they want to learn more about your work?
Okay, so you can go to my website. It's popearts.com.
Okay, we're going to have a link that below.
Yes. I am Vaticant on ArtStation.
Okay.
And then I am Sketchforge on Instagram, even though there are plenty of Sketchforges out there.
Okay, we'll have links below so you can just click on it. It'll be easy.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a Theme Park Arts Instagram where you can check out my daily posts, concept art in theme parks. So that about wraps it up. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is our second episode. And let us know what you think. Any favorite parts of the video that were insightful or kind of fun to you, let us know. All right. Thanks, guys.